Hello everyone, myself Priyanka, and today we are back again to our channel Befriending Polity. So as in this channel we have been dealing about the main syllabus from Polity's perspective, UPSC's main syllabus. So today also, as we know, in mains we have 5 papers, right? So today our topic will be from paper number 3. The name of the topic, as we have a topic in UPSC's mains paper number 3, that is social empowerment, communalism, regionalism and secularism. So today our topic will be about communalism. Okay, I hope this is clear. In today's lecture, we will be discussing about what is the meaning of communalism, what are the causes of communalism, how communalism also has socio-economic basis, and from where this entire concept of communalism took birth in India. What is the genesis of communalism basically, right? So these are the topics that we will be dealing in today's lecture. Otherwise, we also have a number of aspects of this communalism that we will be dealing in another lecture of ours. Okay. So the very first thing that we need to understand, like from the aspect of communalism, is not about practicing one's religion. Okay. Very often we crisscross this word, religion and communalism. No, being religious is not being communal. When I say communal, when I say someone is communal, it means that they are believing that only their religion is superior one. Okay, and they are willing to promote the interest of their religion at the expense of others' religion. Right? So adhering to your religion is not communalism. Practicing your religion is not communalism. Okay, if at all you are practicing orthodox, system or orthodox institutions, you are following, no issues. Even that is not communalism. Whatever rational, irrational behaviors that you are doing in your religion, that is not communalism. So communalism basically comes from the idea that the identity of religion is the supreme identity of an individual. When any individual starts to believe that their religious identity is the supreme identity amongst all other identities that any individual have, that gives birth to communalism. Okay. When we say communalism, in communalism people are ready to promote their interest at the expense of any other's interest. Okay. And here this communalism is very much related to the term violence. Communalism include violence in it. Okay, so these are some of the meaning of communalism. These are the ideologies of communalism that we know today. I hope this concept of communalism would be clear to all of you right now. Let's read all of these ideologies of communalism once. Opposition of religious communities of each other. Okay, when two communities start to oppose each other, that is communalism. An ideology of having a separate identity of religious groups in reference to the other group. That means one wants to establish a different identity as compared to the other religious groups. That is communalism. Tendency to promote the interest of one religious group at the expense of other. I already explained. Based on idea of inherent antagonism. Antagonism means the feeling of become hostile to each other. Okay, feeling of hostility. That is antagonism. Considering someone your enemy. That is antagonism. So communalism is an ideology which has inherent antagonism in it. Okay. When someone is communal, they will automatically start to consider the other community as their enemy. Then we see the communalism affects the idea of national cohesion. Cohesion means unity. Okay, so when we say that someone is communal, that means they will divide the section of the society, divide the society into 2 or more sections, 2 or more communities, and when the people of one country will get divided just on the basis of one identity, they will become hostile to each other. That will definitely affect our national unity, right? So the communalism affects our national cohesion. It is based on the belief that religious distinction is the fundamental distinction. As I mentioned already, that communal people start to believe that identities that they have as an individual. Communalism is the perversion of religion from moral order to an arrangement of contemporary political convenience. Again, when we read that from where this communalism took birth in our society, we'll come to know that wherever communalism is spread in a major idea, it is always done for political interest. It is always done for more and more acquisition of power, either in terms of social power or in terms of political powers. Okay, so one particular kind of leader or a group of leaders want to acquire more and more powers, and hence they divide the entire society into 2 or more sections. Right? So this is always done for the political convenience. Being religious means you're practicing your religion morally, right? So the communalism is the perversion. Perversion means constricting something. Okay, the conservative idea of religion is communalism. It perceives other religious communities as enemies within polity and within a nation. Hence, communalism is a political strategy against nationalism and against secularism. I hope this would be clear. Next, we come to the topic of birth and growth of communalism in India. So, where did this term and the concept of communalism came to India at all? So, we remember our history, okay? We remember how Britishers used to exploit India and Indian citizens. They used to exploit each and every section of our society. May that be the farmers, may that be the rulers, may that be the business class, may that be the landlord section. Everyone was exploited under the colonial rule, right? We knew this. So, in 1857, what happened was these entire sections revolted against the Britishers, the British administration. And when Britishers saw this unity, they found one loophole out of it. Okay, one loophole was people were quite sensitive about their religion. Okay, now they started the propaganda of divide and rule. So Britishers started in India the concept of communalism, and why? That was for their political interest. Okay, so after 1857, when they saw the unity of Indian people could destroy their colonial rule, they started to divide the sections of India. Okay, and when they started to divide, people actually got divided because they were quite sensitive about their religion, right? And when they got divided, it became much easier for the British administration to set up the rule over India, right? So this is where the communalism took birth in India. This is the genesis of communalism in India. What? That is the British administration. So we had only 2 major loopholes in our society during the British period. That was feudalism and religious identities. So Britishers used both these identities against us and divided us and ruled us. Okay, we knew that feudal lords also have quite exploited Indian citizens, Indian small farmers, right? So we saw that this feudalism and religious identities both have been exploited and used by British administrators against Indians to divide and rule easily. Okay, let's read it once. It was born, nurtured and promoted by British imperialism to cater Britishers' motive of divide and rule, to reduce Indians to the position of just religious groups. British administrators exploited the inbuilt divisions between feudal principalities and religious communities. Separate electorate was one such policy to divide religious groups. Okay, separate electorate means when we give reservation in terms of voting also and reservation in terms of representation also. Okay, to one set of group. Okay, we may say a religious group, a set of caste. Okay, so either in terms of religion we give reservation, in terms of caste we give reservation, in terms of gender we give reservation. So when you give reservation in terms of voting as well as in terms of representation, that is separate electorate. Okay, so separate electorate was one policy that was adopted by Britishers to divide India in religious ways. Thus, through separatism in politics and politicization of religion, Britishers damaged our nationalism and politics. I hope this was clear. Let's switch to another topic of ours, that is the socio-economic basis of communalism. Right? In this topic, we'll be learning about how whatever conflicts in today's time, modern times or in historical times, which have been portrayed as communal fights, as communal conflicts, are not actually communal conflicts. They were just a fight between two set of elites or two set of people who had their own personal interest invested in those fights. And the communities of which they belonged, those community peoples were just used in those fights, okay, to win the fight. For example, we have the fight between Shivaji and Aurangzeb, the historical fight, the great historical fight in which has inspired the movie Chhaava also, right? So, this fight between Shivaji and Aurangzeb did not have any religious grounds. It had no religious grounds. At that time, there was a crisis going on the basis of feudalism. This feudalism crisis gave rise to the fight between Aurangzeb and Shivaji. And the people belonging to the Shivaji's communities and the people belonging to the Aurangzeb's communities were just used. Their religious sentiments were used against each other. Okay, today we remember it as a communal fight, but no, it was not a communal fight. It was just economic interest-based fight, right? There are n number of more examples to it. In post-partition period also, we had the Godhra incident, right, in 1980 to 1981. In that incident also, it was based on economic interest of the Sindhi and Ganchi people. Okay, it was based on economic interest of that, and the fire of communalism was just fanned to use religious people against each other. Okay. Again, we also have example of Moradabad crisis also, we might be aware. In Moradabad crisis also, what happened was the Punjabi brassware traders had the monopoly over the brassware makings. Okay, when Muslim brassware traders entered to this field, what happened was the middlemen between the trading and the traders and the sellers. Okay, so the middlemen were Hindus. These Hindus got afraid that their monopoly of this brassware trading would be taken away by the Muslim traders. So it was just an economic crisis. It was just an economic conflict, okay, between the Muslims, Hindus, and Punjabis, right? It was just an economic conflict. And again, this economic conflict was enraged, and the fire of communalism was fanned by these Hindu middlemen. Okay. Why it was done? It was done just to gain their economic interest. Okay, I and you, we got participated in this, we still debate on this, but we had no interest are laid down there. None of our interests are laid down there, right? It was just an economic interest between two group of people. So, these were just examples. There are n number of more examples. There are a number of smugglers, illicit liquor makers. Okay, so they want political patronages from a number of political parties, and to gain this political patronage from political parties, what they do is they actually spread terror activities in their area, in localities, as mentioned by the political parties, right? So I'm just explaining this to let you know that there is a number of social and also economic basis of these communal tensions. These communal tensions are not actually communal tensions. These are portrayed and then manipulated into communal tensions. These are economic tensions. These are social tensions, right? And these are just used against the religious sentiments of the people. I hope this is clear. Let's read it once. The fights and conflicts which are portrayed as communal often has social economic basis, and the members of those communities are manipulated conflict for economic powers of own benefit. For example, the fight between Shivaji and Aurangzeb was not religious in nature, but a political struggle reflecting a crisis of feudal system in that era. Even during the British era, the communalism was made to spread on the question of acquiring seats in the offices and not on any religious or theological grounds. Communalism in post-partition period mainly emerged from the medium-sized towns. Why here it is mentioned medium-sized towns? Because all over India, after partition, what happened was, one community was left poor, and the community which was left poor was the Muslim community. Okay, so Muslim community did not have any kind of competition, economic competition with the Hindus in entire India, but there are few cities where there still remains Muslim elites and Hindu elites, both. Okay, and these have their economic interests. These Muslim elites and these Hindu elites, they have their economic interests, and they are fighting for their economic power. They're fighting because they're competing for resources, and they include our religious sentiments in these fights. So, the medium-sized towns where bourgeois class of Muslims and Hindus caused due to trade conflicts or other resource competition, which later changed into communal rights. For example, the Godhra riots of 1980-81 was a conflict between Sindhi and Gachi petty traders. Similarly, the Moradabad conflict was a conflict between Muslim and Punjabi brassware traders, in which the Hindu middlemen, in threat of loss of their monopoly, fanned the fire of communalism. Aligarh riots is based on similar actives. Hence, a lot of groups often try to inflict ethnic conflict to confuse and crisscross with the class conflict. I hope this is clear. Okay, so let's switch to another topic of ours, that is what are the main causes of these communalism, the spread of communalism in India today. So the very first cause of the spread of communalism here is the economic backwardness of one community, the economic backwardness of Muslims. So what happened was, during the British period, the main threat to Britishers were the Mughal rulers. The main threat to Britishers were these Muslims, right? So what they did was, they started, first of all, they started to divide Muslims and Hindus. Okay, after dividing, they started to favor Hindus more as compared to the Muslims. They used to provide education, they used to provide economic support to Hindus, but they did not used to do the same to Muslims. Why? Because they wanted to crush the power of Mughals and Muslims. Okay, because the Muslims and the Mughals were the main threat to the Britishers, the British power. So the Britishers started to consider Islamic leaders and the Mughal leaders as their enemies. So, in result of this, after partition in India, we had economically and educationally backward sections of Muslims, and in a hope that Muslims would get recognized after partition, this hope was also not fulfilled, yet it is not fulfilled. Okay, yet there are majority of sections of Muslims who are economically and educationally backward. So because of all these issues, what happened, that Muslim community started to feel that the richness of Hindu community is at the expense of the poverty of the Muslim community. This feeling of disparity, this feeling of separation has started to inflict the cause of communalism. I hope this is clear. This was the first cause of communalism. Next we have communal parties and organizations. So the Muslim League, okay, then we have the Hindu Mahasabha and the Akali Dal. These are three of the political organizations, political parties which are communal in nature, okay, and they use their supports to create communal tensions in the society. Also, apart from these, we have a number of non-political organizations who claim to be non-political organizations, but they are backed by these political parties. That is the Hindu Mahasabha, the Akali Dal and the Muslim League. Okay, these political parties basically support the non-political organizations such as Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Islamic Sevak Sangh, and a lot of more non-political organizations that we know in today's time, Bajrang Dal, Jamaat-e-Islam, etc. Okay, these are some of the non-political organizations which are also responsible to inflict communalism in the society. What happened? These Bajrang Dal, this Islamic Sevak Sangh, the RSS, okay, so these have a lot of support of partially educated people, half-educated people and communally sensitive people. So these partially educated and communally sensitive people get inflicted by the activities, the terror activities and the communal activities of these non-political organizations. And again, why these activities are done, why these communal activities are done? To collect vote banks, to get vote banks for these political parties, the communal political parties, to create a vote bank. When we divide society into sections, one section will become the vote bank of one political party, the other section will become the vote bank of another political party, and by this they can complete their, or they can fulfill their political interest, right? So these non-political organizations and political organizations are the main cause of inflicting communalism in our society. Okay. Next we have appeasement policy of Congress. So Congress has a kind of appeasement policy, that means it wants to please the Muslim community, okay, to create a vote bank out of them. So there is an N bloc means a set of Muslim community who supports Congress, and Congress does not want to dissatisfy them at any cost, in any sphere, okay, and because of this what happens is they even do not oppose them. The Congress do not opposes those communities. There are a number of communal leaders in Muslims. There are communal leaders in Hindus also, and there are communal leaders in Muslims also. So what Congress does is, they do not stop the Muslim communal leaders for creating anti-national feelings and anti-Hindu feelings in people. Okay. The Congress allows it. Why? Because it does not want to dissatisfy the vote bank of Muslims. Okay. So this is one of the reasons of, or the cause of communalism in our society. Next we have Hindu chauvinism. What is Hindu chauvinism? Means the superiority of being Hindu. Okay, the dominance of being Hindu. So there are a set of Hindu people in our society who believes that the entire India should be the land of only Hindus. Okay, because Pakistan is the homeland of Muslims. Although this is not the truth, but some people believe this. Okay, and hence what happens is they support a number of organizations which inflicts communalism in our society. Okay, for example, RSS never considers the problems and the grievances of Muslims. RSS always blames Muslims for any kind of communal tensions. Okay, any kind of communal tensions happens and RSS blames Muslim population for it, without seeing the other side of the story. It always refuses to see the other side of the story. Okay, so these were some of the causes of communalism in our society. We'll read further more causes to it. Okay, and then we'll switch to Hindu communalism, Muslim communalism, Sikh communalism, consequences of communalism, and how we can actually overcome this problem of communalism in our society. We'll read forward. I hope till here it is clear. Thank you.